Hey everyone, today we're going to be going over all of the God changes that are happening in the Ceaseless Whirlpool update, the 8.8 patch that comes out on August 24th. If you want to know more about the item changes, I have a separate video for that I'll link, and there's also a pretty significant map change happening, and I'll link the video that I have on that also. But today we're going to be talking about the actual God changes, so let's just hop right into it. The first God that's getting a little bit of a shift is Tiamat, Consume, decreasing the magical power scaling from 60 to 50%, and then Outburst, which is the knock up, the 2 on her ground stance, decreasing magical power scaling from 50 to 40%. So a little bit less damage in that ground stance, which I think is her most useful stance, a most impactful stance. Realistically, Tiamat came out very, very strong, so they've been kind of just consistently nerfing her every single patch at this point. But she's still just so versatile that I think she's always going to be a good God in Joust specifically. There are so many things you can do with her, especially with the map change coming. You're going to be able to shoot things through walls. You're going to be able to put minions over walls. There's just some things that the minions spawning lizards you can actually do in the jungle now, because there's going to be a larger jungle that's you can do more things with. So although she's going to have a little bit less damage, her kit is just still so useful that she's going to be a good God. Maybe not a ban in all cases, but still somebody that you want to prioritize in your comps. The next God that's getting a little bit of a change is Raijin. So his Raiju, decreasing that bonus tick damage from 14 scaling to 50 to 14 scaling to 42. So the same or similar damage kind of early on, but just less damage later on in those team fights from the bouncing Raiju. He'll still be good. He still just outputs a ton of damage. His dash is sometimes easily caught, but if you're using Raijin, you're doing it for the damage anyways. A little bit less, but if you have a synergistic comp, you're going to be able to get what you need to off. So again, still a pretty good pickup in Joust. And with more walls in the jungle and things like that, he'll be able to get away a little bit easier than he did on the classic Joust map if he ends up being in trouble. Or he can be aggressive over walls too. So still a good pick, a little bit of impact, but not too bad. Jormungandr is actually getting a nice little round of buffs. This is a God that doesn't really get picked up at all in Joust from what the games that we've been playing. So the buffs are needed. I still don't know if he'll ever be that meta because his kit is just so unique, and he's not really a true support in the sense of having a lot of peel and CC for his teammates. But if you're just looking for somebody to do damage, maybe you're pairing Jorm up with a Guardian where you're going damage Jorm, and then you have a Guardian with CC and peel, and you're pairing that with a Hunter or something. Maybe that could be a comp that works. But regardless, he's getting some buffs. Generally, his increased base attack damage going from 10.4 to 11.2, which can actually add up pretty quickly with the way his auto attacks work. Come out a lot faster than a lot of other gods. Venomous Haze, increasing the base damage per tick from 5 scaling to 45 to now 10 scaling to 50. So in that early game, it's doing double that damage per tick, which is his those pools that he has that he can spit out, and then he can pop up through using his 3 and have 3 of them. So more damage per tick will be really nice for him. Not quite as much impact on the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th levels because it's not doubling every single time you upgrade it. But at least in that early game, if you have a couple pools out, it'll feel a lot better for getting a little bit more damage and a little more poke off in those lanes or in those fights. Consuming Bellow, increasing magical power scaling of the bonus damage from 5% to 10% per stack. So again, that can stack up to 3 times. So realistically, you're going from a total of 15% bonus power scaling before. Now you can get 30% total of that bonus power scaling, which is pretty significant. Also increasing the duration of the empowered basic attacks from 1.5 to 2 seconds per stack. And again, stacking up to 3 times. So you're going from 4.5 seconds at full stacks to 6 seconds of empowered basic attacks. So the empowered basic attack buff on Consuming Bellow mixed with the general increase to basic attack damage should make Jorm feel a lot more damage heavy if you're building into that. I don't think this buff necessarily makes him a better guardian per se, but you can probably use him a little bit more as that damage heavy type of secondary guardian in a team comp. So it'll be interesting. I have a gameplay video of Jorm, so if you want to see, I think he can be good in Joust if you're playing him kind of more of that aggressive play style. So I'll link that if you want to see some Jorm gameplay. But like I said, he's not going to be the only support that you use, just because he still doesn't have the CC and peel that you need from a true support. And I think what really holds him back in the end from being like a really consistent damage guardian is just the wind up on consuming Bello. It's a really good ability. It's powerful. It allows you to do a lot of things, but it just can be so easily interrupted by a good coordinated team that you're not going to be able to get it off consistently, and either you're going to die before you can get the damage off, or they're going to interrupt you and kill your teammates before anything happens that you can do to prevent it. So we'll see if this has a big effect. I think Jorm's a really fun god, so if he does become a little bit more meta, I'll be happy with that. But like I said, I still think he just suffers from a lot of those same things that aren't going to be changed by these specific buffs. Bellona is getting another round of buffs. She has had a few buffs over the last couple patches pretty consistently, so they're trying to, I think, get her more into the meta. Shield Bash, increasing the physical power scaling from 40 to 50%, also decreasing cooldown from 15 to 14 seconds. That's a good ability in itself already. This will help it be more consistently landed, or at least you can use it more often. And then Scourge, decreasing the cooldown from 20 at level 1, 16 to level 5, to 18 at level 1, 14 at level 5. So that's 2-second decreased cooldown time across every single level. And to me, I think Scourge is her most powerful ability, and the one that you kind of pick Bellona for, because you want Bellona to be that anti-AA, anti-hunter type of play style. So having this ability up more often and having those hunters not be able to use, what they're supposed to be using in their kits is going to be really good. I think Bellona, you're going to see a lot of her in the double tank comps, where she's the secondary dive heavy warrior paired with a guardian and a mage, especially if you have someone on the other side that have maybe prioritized a soul and another hunter, attack stim hunter, right? Like Artemis or something. Really good counter to those, and I think the cooldown, especially on the Scourge, is just very, very significant. 2 seconds at every level will make a huge difference in how often you can use that ability. So I think Bellona will be good. Plus, a lot of the item changes are kind of AA based, so that helps her as well. Amaterasu getting a couple buffs as well. So her general attack speed per level is increasing from 1.2% to 1.4%. As a percentage, I don't know if you're going to be able to necessarily feel this on Ama, but bring her into jungle and see if it feels good. And then Glorious Charge, decreasing the cooldown on that from 18 to 16 seconds as well. Those 18-second cooldowns are very, very long, so 2 seconds is going to make her a little bit more viable, and her ultimate is always, always, always a huge team fight ability that can help you really turn a fight. I do think that she isn't as good in Joust. I think her early game kind of struggles, and I don't know if that buff to Glorious Charge, just the cooldown itself, is going to do anything to help that. But late game, I still think she can be good, and paired into the right comp, if you're playing for that later game style, she could be good in Joust. Skadi getting in a couple buffs as well. So increasing Calder's basic attack damage from 40 at level 1, 80% to level 5, to 50% at level 1 to 80% at level 5. So the early basic attack damage stim is going to be 10% more at level 1 and level 2, and then it kind of scales down to being the same at level 5. Permafrost, decreasing the cooldown from 18 to 16 seconds. That is her unique CC ability, where they are sliding across the ice. I think with the map change, it's going to be less effective compared to the classic Joust map, where there were tons of walls that you could literally get somebody stuck and bouncing kind of for the entirety of the ability on those walls. And Skadi has always been a fairly weak Joust god. I don't think these changes are enough to really bring her into any sort of competitive comp. There are just too many other hunters that are better at everything, basically. If you're doing attack stim, you have Rama who does it better, you have Artemis who does it better. If you're building ability based, you have Chiron who does it a lot better. So I just really don't think there's any reason to pick Skadi. I think she's fun, but if you're going to play a competitive style, there's just a lot of better people that you can pick up. Thoth getting a buff as well to Glyph of Pain, so increasing that base bonus attack power at every level. So it's literally doubling at level 1, and then it goes, looks like 10 more bonus basic attack power through that Glyph of Pain. This one, I don't know if it's as impactful as people will think, just because it's base bonus attack power and not ability, not to do anything with abilities itself. But that being said, if you're building a full cooldown Thoth and able to just spam the basic attacks anyways, he's already very oppressive in Joust. The new Joust map has a lot more walls as well that you can utilize to shoot your, you set up your glyph and shoot your basic attacks through. So even though it's not necessarily a huge change in terms of pure damage, if you're facing a good Thoth, they're going to be able to just get consistent damage out on you very early, and having that be doubled early on, it's going to be a really, really tough god to compete with, just as far as the range that this god can bring to a Joust match. This might be one that you want to prioritize as a pick or a ban. We'll have to see what happens actually in reality with these changes, but theoretically, I just think this god's going to be way too oppressive early game, and you're gonna have the other team snowball before you can do anything to stop it. So really good change for Thoth. If you're a Thoth player, you should be ecstatic about this, and if you hate playing against Thoth, probably put this on your ban list. Baba Yaga getting a quality of life change, which is probably technically could be classified as a buff. While in her ultimate, she's not going to be able to be body blocked by minions anymore. So it's kind of hard to see the minions. As Baba Yaga in her ult, you're this giant house. You think you should be able to just walk around the minions, but if you're stuck on one, it kind of ruins the entire point of the ult when you're trying to chase somebody down or use the flame burst to hit them. So this will feel good. It'll honestly just be more of a feeling better type of buff, but regardless, it should help in a lot of scenarios. And Baba is pretty good right now as far as just the items that are being built and her ability without boots being in the mix to just build pure power. She can stack things really easily, so she'll be a nice god to add to your arsenal if you need a mage that doesn't really consistently get banned out but still does really, really good damage. Susano, increasing the base damage on Wind Siphon, looks like 10 at the first level, then all the way to 30 more damage at the last level, so scaling a little bit into that late game. And then Jetstream, increasing the base damage 5 per level per tick, it looks like on that change. So Susano can be really oppressive too if you have a really good one, and he can get his combos off. Ton of damage, really slippery. I think Wind Siphon having that extra damage late game is going to help him quite a bit. I don't know if it's somebody that you want to necessarily prioritize as an assassin. I think there are better ones like Fenrir, Naja, just anybody with a little bit more CC. But that being said, he does have some of that knock up with the ultimate. He has the Wind Siphon that's kind of a pull in. So this might be one that comes in a little bit more, that you see a little bit more with skilled Susanos. They could be pretty annoying to play against, so keep this in mind. A little more damage on his abilities. Artio getting a couple buffs too. I'm fairly excited about this one. Artio is a god that I've been experimenting with quite a bit, that I think her kit meshes really well with the upgraded war flag that's happening in this patch, and that happened last patch too, without Benevolence being in the mix in Joust. So I've been playing her quite a bit in preparation, and now with these buffs it's going to feel even better. Decreasing the cooldown on Life Tap and Maul Prey from 12 seconds to 10 seconds. So Maul Prey is the purely damage ability in her bear form, and Life Tap is the kind of cone-ish ability in her druid stance. and life tap is the team heal as well. So that's going to be up 2 seconds more often, right? So instead of every 12 seconds, you're going to have that up every 10 seconds. So especially if you think about how her abilities work, where you're able to rotate between her bear stance and her druid stance, you're going to have both of those things up quite a bit more often. I mean, you can have one of those abilities up every 5 seconds if you're timing it perfectly, right? So that's a lot more damage and a lot more healing potential for you and your team. Heavy charge, increasing the charge speed from 75% increased movement speed to 100% increased movement speed. I think this is actually even better of a buff for her. That heavy charge is already a great chase ability, and it's so long. It's a great safety ability if you need to get out. And now it's going to be even faster. So with some of the jungle paths that are going to exist in the new Chinese Joust map as well, I think Artio is going to be a really priority pick. Not bannable necessarily, I don't think, but she's got healing. She's got really good damage output. She has really good CCs for some of the more powerful gods. If you're thinking of someone like Odin or Fenrir or somebody that relies on movement abilities a lot, that cripple is a huge, huge, huge ability for her. So keep Artio in your arsenal. She'll be good. Fit her into some comps. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Kuzenbo getting 1 buff to his Nene Kappa, increasing the base damage on the throw. Looks like 10 by 10 at level 1, all the way to 30 more damage at level 5. So something to keep in mind, this isn't the damage that happens if you throw it and it doesn't hit them directly. So you do have to actually kind of hit those skill shots with the Kappa right away in that initial line or bounce ability. You're not going to get it just from them attacking the enemy god. But Kuzenbo is a very aggressive pick. I think similar to Artio, he works pretty well with the War Flag item, just because you want to be aggressive, you want to be in the enemy's face with Kuzenbo, so that those early fights that you're taking are going to net you more gold, and you're just going to be able to kind of snowball. And his survivability is really, really good for how aggressive he can be. Displacement really good also. So overall, I think this is going to shoot Kuzenbo up a little bit. I think he has one of the lower Joust win rates right now, but I think this change should help him do just a little bit more on the damage front. And the last god change that we're going to be talking about today is to Naja, his Flaming Spear, which is his 2 ability, decreasing the cooldown from 18 at level 1, 14 to level 5, to 14 seconds at all ranks. So that is a insane buff at level 1. 4 seconds less is nuts. I think for the individual ability, it's going to be very impactful, but overall, I already thought Naja was a pretty good god in Joust. Specifically, he has the CC, he has the ability to just eliminate kind of one person from a fight, and this 14-second buff to Flaming Spear where he gets the heal and the stim, just going to make him a lot better and a lot more survivability in that early game, which is kind of where he struggled. So that is it. That is all the god changes happening in the Ceaseless Whirlpool update, the 8.8 patch that comes out on August 24th. If you learned something in this video, please please subscribe. I still have a little promo going on my Twitch channel. Once I hit 50 followers there, I'll be giving away 2 awesome skins to 2 random Twitch followers. So you can also follow me there and chat. And if you see me streaming, you can ask questions or just talk to me too. And I love to know what you guys are thinking and kind of anything that you've discovered in your play, because I definitely don't know it all. So again, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll talk to you guys next time.